Welcome, perceptive readers, to the Sage's Lifetimes. I'm James Lynch, and this is part 4. I encourage you to read, not, well, you may see it also in the memo form, but parts 1, 2, 3, and now we're on 4. All of these will be hyperlinked together to catch up to speed of where we're at now, where I'm talking about an example of how God will show you why he feels about matters in the way that he does, and also just how cool God really is. You see, I've mentioned how many sages I've known they were pretty cool. They at the same time realized they were just men or women. You see, uh, that was you see also imperfect. Okay, now, with that being said, remember, even though God continues to have his place, he's always had his place over all, especially man in the last couple of 100 years or so, uh, places where you could read his word and understand matters, ask questions and things of that nature. Uh, it is still filled with these same type of persons that I told you to different degrees who are coming to an accurate knowledge and trying to apply this information in their lives. With that being said, these different roles and responsibilities that persons take upon themselves at times, or you see, they are encouraged to reach out for, which I told you deals with the nurturing of other people, to sharing this good information with other people. And they're supposed to do it in a way of really, the representative or personality of Jesus Christ. And so that's the faith that, that I'm talking about. And so there could be matters at times that people have this different preference in this way or feeling in that way about a matter or what have you. But you know what? When they know that they're picking up that message that Jesus told them to talk about in this way or that way, then guess what? They just say, okay, I'm gonna put my own hangups aside in this way or that way, and I'm just going to give and relate the information. Some persons I've known were very good at that. Uh, they could actually be dealing with a person who is considered an enemy. Okay, certainly an enemy towards them, but they realize if God or Jesus had something good for them, they certainly had no authority in the world to take away this person's inheritance, if you will. And remember, I told you inheritances in the Bible, that's very much scriptural, it's spiritual, it's given by God. And so those are one of the spiritual rights, if you will, where we talked about this before, that when I tell you that some persons have actually implemented justice and things of that nature in a wrong or incorrect way of judgment, those are items that are not supposed to be taken away, tampered with individuals. See, there are certain headship principles and gifts that God has given to each and every one of us. And those headships and gifts are on such a level that in order for you to trade with it, if you will, sell with it, if you will, buy, if you will, you are supposed to really come to a serious, informed agreement with one another that that's what you're doing. And I'm going to tell you something else. Even when it comes to certain contracts, then there's actually been times where, just like in the day and age that we live in, and you can even see it in court, it used to be a time where your word was gold, as people would say. Well, that's not even really always acceptable in courts anymore, even if your word truly is gold. But man, if you don't have that signature, I'm telling you, on a contract, a legally binding contract in this way or that way, man, you're fighting an uphill battle unless, once again, you're in some type of elite status, which I won't go into there, where then a person can just wake up on the wrong side of bed one morning and next thing you know, make your life a living hell for years and decades on end. So it had nothing to do with agreement, contract, or whatever. They just did what they wanted to do. And because of the position that they were in, see, people looked at that position or power that they had as if they were right or even in a righteous standing or way of carrying out this matter or that matter. And guess what? They were no way in a righteous way, even though they had the money and the power to implement and take from this person in the way that they did. You know, just to show you, remember I said in the last podcast how cool God is, how cool sages were, and things of that nature. Some of the ones that I've known is that the reality of the matter is when it has come to justice being used and the way that certain persons have convinced themselves at times that their judgment was righteous, godly, in other words, given by God to do this in this way or that way, that really, in hindsight for some people, but presently by the way that some person was experiencing it at the time, they know good and well that that so-called decision was still not made by God, no matter how many persons came together for it. It was actually very much skewed, yeah, that's the way I want to say it, about already a view of the air. You can look in the Holy Scriptures to actually find out how the air is used, you see, in certain scenarios. How even the sea is used in certain scenarios. And both of them affect the human mind and heart on levels that some people, remember I told you, those masterminds know. They know the difference between the light and dark side of the force at times, on how the sea and the air is used on us every single day to actually maneuver us to do things that we think we're making, you see, on our own decisions because we're not giving much thought to it. See, that's why, a lot of people say, I have to pray incessantly so that I'm always present and doing what I'm doing. Because when you're not of that frame of mind, you see, or what have you, sometimes you can just be maneuvered to think a certain way, even to do certain things that you want a bit more thinking that, you would do. That's one of the reasons, as I've shared with you before, that God, you see, has that ransom sacrifice for us. See, I'll be one of the first, if you would have caught me some decades ago, to sometimes to say, some people, they do things on purpose, which they do, okay? And yet, some people can do just as much, carry out some of the most bad stuff, and guess what? They weren't doing it on purpose. So you do have situations where persons committed evil because they did it on purpose. And then you have other situations where people committed evil because that spirit of the air and also of the sea was dashing against them on such a level that, you know what? Those were mitigating circumstances to really go to show that, oh, yes, I appreciate why God has this ransom sacrifice and how even things can be covered over, so to speak. But anyway, Let us move on to part 5.